Hello YouTube, Beth here. Today I'll be reviewing the game Dantes Inferno for Xbox 360 as requested by one of my subscribers. Basically a little introduction. Dantes Inferno is a hack and slash game developed by EA and was released at the beginning of this year. It's a story that's loosely based on a poem written in the 14th century called Divine Comedy. Yeah, that's the boring bit, and now let's talk a little bit about the story. Okay, so basically I personally thought that the story was very interesting and extremely creative. Basically you play as the main character, which is Dante, obviously, and you return home from war and to find that your love, Beatrice, has been taken to hell by the devil, and you have to fight death in the beginning of the game in order to go and save her. And basically you work your way through the 9 circles of hell to go and save her, and as you progress through the game, you come across characters from your past, and it shows these like little clips of what happened to you when you were at war and things. So it explains the story throughout the game, which I think's a really good idea. Also throughout the game you'll encounter some fierce and hideous enemies that are just look really good, and it's just like really fun to fight them. You have enemies like unbaptized babies and these big fat things called gluttons, and it's just absolutely brilliant. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the pros and cons of the storyline. The cons, I'd say, is the fact that the story is only about 6 hours long in total, which is quite short in my opinion for a game. There are no achievements for finishing the game on harder difficulties, which really means you only have to do one playthrough, unless you need to go back and do the collectibles if you want the 1000 game score. But after you've played through it once, really, there's nothing much to do. You have a Gates of Hell arena at the end, which lasts a while, and then after you finish that, you could buy the downloadable content. There's 2 lots. The first is called the Dark Forest, and it takes 10 minutes to finish, and it only has 2 achievements. So really that's not that great. And the other DLC I didn't even bother buying, to be honest. However, the pros of the story, and things like that, I would say that the graphics are just simply amazing. I think that EA did an absolutely brilliant job. The bosses look amazing, and the entire setting of hell looks the way it should. An example of how good I think the graphics are will be when you're climbing along the walls and you can see the people inside, and their arms are sort of reaching slightly and they're screaming in pain, and it's just everything I think a hack and slash game should be. So yeah, I think that's all brilliant. The gameplay now, I'd say the pros of the gameplay would be that the game gives you choices, like you can choose how to deal with your foes. You can either punish or absolve them. So like when you punish them, what you do is you stick a cross in their face and they sort of burst and you free them. But when you absolve them, you cut them in half, which is awesome. That's exactly what you should be able to do in a hack and slash. That's what we want to do in hack and slash games. We like all the gore. Basically the controls are really easy to use. To finish off bosses you do like a simple button sequence. you can control these beasts and that breathe fire and stamp on the enemies, which is brilliant. The game also gives you choices in the sense that you can use either the scythe that you get from killing the boss at the beginning of the game, or you can use magic, and you pick up a couple of different magical skills throughout the game. So you've got a lot of choice. The cons of the gameplay, the platforming in the game can get a bit annoying. Like there's these bits in the game where you're climbing up and down walls and you're swinging to get to other areas. That can get really frustrating at times. And the other con, I would say, is that the puzzles in the game are quite simple, and I wish they were slightly more challenging. But other than that, I think the pros kind of outweigh the cons in the gameplay. Next thing I'm going to cover is let me think. The enjoyment. I personally really enjoyed playing through the game. If you enjoy hack and slash games, then I think you should definitely pick this game up, because it's you can get it dead cheap now because it's gone right down in price, and it's definitely worth picking up. I enjoyed all the gore. I just enjoyed cutting up the enemies and just the story and everything. I thought it was brilliant. So overall, I would say that for the story, I'd give it a 9.5. Some people might think I'm being quite generous, but this is my type of game. Graphics, I think I definitely give a 10, because really I can't fault them. Gameplay, I think I'd give like 8, because I wasn't too impressed with the platforming and the puzzles being too simple. For enjoyment factor though, 10, because the story was just amazing, and I think it's everything that a hack and slash should be. So how can you not give it a 10? But overall, I think I'd have to give the game like an 8 or a 9. I think I'll go with a 9. But all in all, the game is definitely worth picking up if you enjoy gore and hack and slash. Okay, so this box here that I have kept my video on, this is the Dantes Inferno Death Edition box. Inside you get like a couple of leaflets and the instruction manual. That's the instruction manual. You get a Dead Space Dante costume, which you just enter a code in, and you get something that's advertising the anime for Dantes Inferno. So you get a couple of bits inside there, and when you open it up, you get the game disc, and you get a bonus sort of DVD disc. And yeah, basically on the front of it you get death. That's death. And just all in all, I think it's a really great game. And yeah, pick it up. Okay.